Okay, on this game, I lost lane and won.
Okay. Okay, good. Let's jump in here then. Okay, so your Lux mid versus LeBlanc. So yeah, that can be a tough lane to win if she gets any sort of
Well, I forgot to
advantage
ban
at
her.
all.
The banner too, and I totally forgot. Like, well, no, you know what? I think that's the reason I chose Lux because I was gonna play Brand, but I know he's even worse against.
Yeah, he has even less tools to deal with somebody like her, so that can be rough too.
I
Okay,
didn't do.
so you tell me what are some things that you right off the bat feel like could have gone better this game, or
Well,
that you are not sure, what you're looking for
well,
specific insight on.
I actually hadn't played her in a few months, but I missed her ult like every time almost. It was pretty sad.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Last hitting, I could have done a lot better. Um,
Okay.
I think.
30 seconds until minions spawn.
I don't know. I can't think anything right now. I'd have to see more of the game, I
Yeah,
guess.
that's okay. Cool. Okay, so at any point, if at any point you have questions or something doesn't make sense, or you feel like I'm missing something important, don't hesitate to stop me and ask questions and all that stuff. So I kind of tend to ramble a little bit, so don't feel bad about interrupting me if something's not making sense.
Okay.
Okay, so they have a Pantheon top, so that's you gotta be thinking about. Wait, where? Oh, Renekton support. What is their bot lane even doing? Madness. Okay, so anyway, they have Pantheon top, so you are going to want to be aware of his level, because as soon as he hits 6, he's going to be looking to, or he has the possibility of kind of showing up in your lane with his ult without much warning.
Yeah.
And Kha'Zix is also kind of a carry jungler, so he's going to be looking for early ganks to start snowballing lanes. So that's something to be aware of as well. Okay, so real quick here, the couple things. LeBlanc early on, I mean, she's hit you with, she has a point and click spell at level 1. That's, she's hit you a couple of times with it, but it doesn't really do a lot of damage at level 1, and so it's not something you need to be too afraid of. Your E will do, just as much damage to her if you landed on her. And so with early on with most assassins like this, that's your moment to take advantage and to bully. And so, that first time you threw out your E, you used it primarily just to last hit a couple of creeps. It's big enough that you always want to be, you can use it to farm and should use it to farm when you need to, but always be trying to look to maximize it. Yeah. So I mean, that's she moves out of it there, but that's the kind of thing, you're looking at to hit CS and to hit her. So you threw your ward down at about 2 minutes 20 seconds, and that is usually going to be too early. You really want to be throwing your ward down right about now, because if you look at where Kha'Zix is at right now, he is finishing his red buff, and this is pretty typical. Most junglers are going to start either Gromp or they're going to start Krugs, and then they're going to do their first main buff, whichever one. So he started this side, so he started Gromp, and then he did blue, and sometimes junglers will do a level 2 gank, but that's pretty rare. And so it's something to be aware of. You don't want to just be slamming, shoving so hard that it's a no-brainer for him to level 2 gank. But much more typically, they're going to do, this and then blue, and then he's going to come down, maybe do wolves, which he did, and then he's going to do red buff. And so if he had skipped wolves, which is also something that people will do, then he would have come to this a little sooner. So at about 3:15-ish is when you want to have a ward down. And if you don't know which side the jungler started on, because if he started blue side, then he's going to do red, and then he's likely going to come from here, right? So if you don't know which side he started, because it would be the opposite if he started the other side, you can err on the side of blue side, because almost all junglers will start blue. Udyr sometimes starts Krugs. Rengar sometimes starts Krugs. If they don't have mana, then it's more like then sometimes they'll start Krugs instead of Gromp. But most junglers will start blue. Probably 80% of the time it's blue. And so you can err on the side of warding your red, the red side of the river. And the best place to put it is just you want to find a time when you're not going to lose CS ideally, so you want to have a wave shoved into the turret if you can by about this time. And then it's the best place to put it is right here, because this gives you vision of this entry. So if he just wants to sneak around here and then like jump over the wall, that's a sneaky little thing, especially with junglers with gap closers will do, because you'll sit right here unless you have minions. He won't have, depending on where the minion wave is, you won't have vision of this little corner. So he could sit right here and you wouldn't be able to see him right now. And then he could jump over and get behind you. So this bush is the place to put it if you don't have time to run all the way over here, or if you're afraid that he's actually like sitting there or something. But usually this is the best place because it gives you vision of this entrance, it gives you vision of this area if he's like trying to do something really cheeky and sneak around here. And then you can watch you can watch him walk into the brush here, and you don't need to see him in the brush if you know he's there. You can just walk over to this side of the map and be safe, So at about between 3 minutes and 3 minutes 30 seconds is when you want to have that first ward. You want to throw that first ward down because he's going to be looking for a gank after he finishes his second buff.
That happens here.
Yeah.
I do remember that, but something bad happens next time because of that.
Yeah.
If I would have known which one that was, I would have got the kill probably.
Maybe you had
So
E up and flash ignite. Maybe that would have been close. She's low enough mana that maybe. Yeah, your best bet as Lux versus LeBlanc is just going to be two things. To win a lane against an assassin like this, honestly, you do not need to get kills on her. It's nice if you do. Kills are always nice, but you don't need to get kills on her to win. Really, to win this lane, you just need to not let her get kills on you.
Okay.
And so because LeBlanc is an assassin and she will snowball really hard off of kills, and there's a lot of assassins are that way. Like, just to use an example, in the top lane that I play a lot when I'm playing Quinn in the top lane, Fiora is that way. Fiora is kind of a tough matchup for Quinn because she's an even better duelist, and so if I try to just play play super aggressive versus Fiora, I might win. I might not. It depends. There's a good chance I make a mechanical error, or even the littlest thing can lose me that. And it's kind of the same thing here. LeBlanc is super slippery.
Hold on.
What's that?
Can you hold on one sec?
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay. So yeah, LeBlanc is super slippery, and she has a lot of ways to burst you down, and so you have the tools to to do damage from range if you can land it, but you also have the tools to farm from range and to just kind of sit back and be a little more passive, a little more conservative without giving up a lot of CS. But if you can get out of lane phase with LeBlanc having 0 kills, then LeBlanc is going to have a very, very, very hard time moving into mid game, because she won't have that early injection of gold that she really needs to be super effective.
So anytime you're playing an assassin, just don't worry about dying.
Well, kind of. You don't want to just. Obviously, if you really just wanted to avoid dying, you just sit here until the end of the game.
That's like just last hit.
Yeah. Yes. You basically, as a rule of thumb, that's going to be your default. You're thinking that you're thinking your first job is not to die, which is that's the first rule of League in general.
Yeah.
You don't want to die, but it's especially true versus assassins because they do so much with that kill gold, that early kill gold. If she gets a kill on you, she will go nuts, and if she gets a couple of kills on you, she'll go nuts everywhere. And so if she's smart anyway, and so if it starts to feel at all like she's starting to get an edge, you can come back from a CS deficit. And LeBlanc doesn't usually farm that super well anyway. But if you're up Or if you're down, 10 or 15 or 20 CS, that's not ideal. That's not what you want, but you can come back from that. You can't come back from being down 30 CS and 5 or 6 kills down. And so that's your primary goal. And since LeBlanc has so many tools to jump on you and murder you, your first job is to not die. And because she's an assassin and because she has tools to jump on you, that means playing more conservative than you would versus someone who's like another more traditional mage. Like if you're playing, against a Syndra or a Malzahar or somebody that's kind of a similar sort of role, more of a traditional mage, then you can look to trade more and stuff. But as soon as LeBlanc starts hitting, especially since she hits level 6, that's when you just kind of start giving her a little more respect. You're looking primarily to farm. You're not looking for kills.
I don't even know how to defend against her ult.
So her ult is it just mimics whatever the last spell she cast is. So if she cast her Sigil of Malice, her Q, then she hits R and it casts again, and it does like a little bit less damage. It's not quite as powerful, I think.
I tried playing her. She has too many ways of playing her. It's too hard for me.
Yeah, she's pretty tricky. No, it does a little bit. It doesn't do less damage. I can't remember what they did to her ult. They reduced it recently. Anyway, basically what it does, is it just recasts whatever spell she cast last. So that's why she can do that double dash. If she dashes with her W and then she hits R, she dashes again, and then she can snap back to either one of them depending on which key she hits. And so usually what you'll see is she'll either she'll hit you with Sigil of Malice, her Q, and then she'll dash to you and hit you with another Q, or she'll dash to you and then just dash on top of you once again for the damage.
Stuns you, right?
Yeah, her E her E hits that chain, which slows you a little bit, and then if it after however many 1.5 seconds, then it roots you for another second and a half.
She have to hit you with 2 Qs to ult, or 2 E's to stun you?
No, just one to stun you. It just is a tether. So she hits you with it, and so she casts it out in a line, and it's a skill shot. So if she misses, then obviously you're fine. But if she hits you with it, then it tethers you, kind of like Fiddlestick's Drain, or I'm trying to think of some other tethers, like Morgana's ult, And so it's a tether, and so it slows you down a little bit. So it's like a leash, slows you down. If you can get out of range, and it's a fairly big range. I don't have it in front of me here. But if you can get out of its range, it'll break. But you have a second and a half. So she tethers you, and then it starts counting down from a second and a half. If you're not able to break the tether before a second and a half runs out, then it roots you for another second and a half, and does damage. And so what she'll look to do is hit you with that, root you in place so that it makes it really easy for her to do her double dash in place and do the damage that way. So anyway, just because of her of all the tools she has to just obliterate people, that's what she's built to do. Especially someone who's kind of an relatively immobile mage, and especially since Lux relies on skill shots and she's dancing all over the place, it's going to be hard for you to reliably get kills on her. And so you need to deny kills to her, and wait for her to make mistakes. If she's going to dive you under the turret, you want to make sure that she hasn't had a chance to chip you down to a third of health. So when you push to the turret, you've been playing safe and conservative, so you still have most of your health and mana. So if she does decide to get stupid and dive, it's she's going to have a harder time bursting you down, and you'll have more time to react and get your damage down, and probably kill her at that point because she's being over aggressive. So you play conservative and you look to punish mistakes instead of forcing plays. That's how you play any lane if you get behind. And some matchups you'll go into, and that's just kind of how you need to play right from the get-go because they're stronger. LeBlanc at level 1 and level 2 you can probably bully, but once it gets past that, you need to start playing more carefully.
Do I go home right here?
Yeah, that's so that's okay, because I mean ideally you want to shove it into the turret before you leave, but you were low health enough that would have been really risky. So that's fine.
I think I didn't put missing.
Yeah, that's a good thing to do. I mean, just pinging. Ultimately, I mean, people like to freak out at you if you don't ping missing. Ultimately, it's on everybody to be watching the map. I mean, you can't keep complete track of where she's at. But yeah, if you do notice that she's out of lane, it is really helpful to try to communicate as much as possible.
I think I was like, I'm not trying to excuse, but I was really tired. I had my map awareness in this game is horrible.
Yeah, well, I feel you. That definitely can affect things. Okay. Good. That's actually really powerful, honestly. You know what you don't wanna go nuts with it and like take damage and stuff from the turret. But if you can keep her from recalling, because now you know if you let her recall originally, she would have already been back in base by now and probably walking back to turret. But now she's just getting back to base and she's going to lose all this CS to the turret. So that's actually, you know, it's psychologically just kind of annoying. And so that's positive always to throw people off their game. But it's also a really smart tactic to deny her as much CS and experience as possible. So right now, this is the kind of times you want to be looking for when you just, you know, you got a little bit of damage on the turret, but honestly that's not really, it's kind of meaningless right now, and it's not, you don't really want to be, you know, you can shove the turret when you get a gank or something, and so at that point you shove it and you don't have anything to CS really, and so you know you just have a few seconds to kind of kill while you're waiting for the waves to come. That's a great time to go throw down a ward or to look for a roam or something like that. You know, go look to do something other than just be in lane. Even if you just walk out of vision, you know, even if you just walk back here, then LeBlanc can't see you, and she doesn't know if you're roaming or not. She doesn't know what you're doing. If you're sitting under turret here, then you know everybody knows where you're at. You're not really threatening the objective. You're not getting any CS, so you're kind of making yourself a non-factor. And it's just a few seconds. It's not a major deal here. It's a little thing in this particular set of circumstances. But that's the kind of thing where, yeah, it's 10 seconds that you have to go, you know, to go throw down a ward completely for free. She's not going to be able to, you know, to push you out or anything, or you won't lose any CS. You know, you're not at risk of giving up anything to leave lane for a few seconds. Okay, that was okay. You probably got, you got a little too close to him there. You know, you did a lot of good damage to him. And so you kind of just walked up to him a little bit too much. It's not a big thing. He didn't really punish you for it, but you just got to be careful with stuff like that because both of them have really reliable ways to jump on you. And so you got to just be hyper aware of your position. You know, Kha'Zix comes in, you hit him with your bind, and you hit him with your E. And then, you know, you might even just call that good because as soon as your root wears off, he might jump on you and slow you, and then LeBlanc could come up and jump on you and hit you with all her stuff. And then you know, even if they're not able to get the kill, which they might, but if they're not, you're at like, you know, you're at a quarter health now, and then what are you gonna do? You have to leave. So just it's just an awareness thing, just an awareness of what you know the enemy champion is capable of, and thinking ahead a few seconds to try to anticipate what they would want to do next, and then try to make sure that you're putting yourself in a position to make whatever that thing is hard. Okay. So, oh, nice. That's a nice try. So this is so that's what LeBlanc is able to do, especially as soon as she hits 6. That's a pretty big power spike for her. So we're just gonna look at that again real quick. So as she hits 6, you can see this, and there's different champions have different power spikes, and it's good for you to try to you know, as you play the game and as you get experience with different matchups and things, you want to be learning what the champion that you are playing, what their power spikes are. And so Lux kind of has a power spike at level at level 3 because you've got all 3 of your abilities, and if you can land a bind, you can get a pretty intense combo down, and with your shield you can you can deny them the ability to do damage back to you to a degree, and so that's a good time to go aggressive. You know, in different champions, that's at different places. Wukong has a crazy level 2 power spike because he's got his dash and his stick slam. I can't remember what that ability is called. But LeBlanc in particular has a crazy one at level 6 because now suddenly she has her entire damage arsenal at her fingertips. And since she just got back from base, she had, and you can look at her and she's got an item advantage on you too. She has a blasting wand to your amp tome. So not only does she have that level advantage, or not a level advantage, but her level 6 is a lot more potent than your level 6 in this 1v1 because she can put all her damage on you a lot more easily and reliably than you can put all your damage on her, right? Because you're all skill shots. And so then, but in addition, she has an ability or an item advantage. She's got more ability power than you do right now. She's on 70, and you're, well, so not a lot more ability power, I guess. Why does she not have as much?
I don't understand, but one thing, I was doing a lot of damage on her, but I could never kill her.
Yeah, yeah, and so that's the thing where, you know, you gotta be thinking ahead a little bit in the lane. If she is able to do her thing, she will win almost every single time. So let's just watch this. We'll just watch it unfold here. So, okay, so that's another thing too. She sees you just used a really key ability. So you used your bind, which is a big deal for you. It's a 14-second cooldown at level 1. So she knows that you do not have bind for another 13 seconds or so. And she has all her stuff up. So she just saw you do that. So you saw her hit level 6, and then you use your bind to farm. You know, that's just, you just got to be really careful about stuff like that. If you're, you know, you can use your abilities to farm from range and safely, but especially your bind you probably want to hang on to because that's such an important defensive spell to stop people from just being able to jump on you. And so anyway, so she sees you using it, she knows it's on cooldown, and now she's going to go aggressive. So here she goes, she's going to hit you with Q, and you cast shield, that's good. She hits you with double Q, and jumps to you and then binds you from point blank. So this is that tether. It's going to tick for 1.5 seconds, and then as it ends, it will it'll root you. So you hit her with ignite. She still has her ignite. Okay, so now all her abilities are on cooldown. So now, you know, now she's done. She has to leave. So you're not really in danger, super danger of dying here for another few seconds. And this is another thing where you want to just be aware of what her cooldowns are, because her Q is a 5-second cooldown, and so she used it, opened with it, and so you can kind of be thinking, you have a timer ticking down in your head. You just kind of get a feel for it. In about 5 seconds or 6 seconds roughly, that's going to be back up. So right now, as soon as that comes back up, she can hit you with again and ignite, and she wins. And so she overextends a little bit, and the turret hits her. And between that and your ignite, okay, and she burned her ignite there too. So you end up about even. She comes out of that trade a little bit ahead. So, off the top of your head, how do you think you could have played that better?
I honestly don't know. Actually, I just
okay. That's fine.
I guess. Well, I know the play earlier where using the minion. Yeah, that was a mistake.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So this is just. I'll just look at it again here real quick. So that's a mistake. That's just you got to be thinking. You know, she has her whole arsenal up. I need my whole arsenal up. And you know, she has a power spike, she has an item advantage, she's looking to be aggressive, you know, because of those things, because she has a power spike, because she has an item advantage, and because she's an assassin. That's, you know, what she's going to be looking to do regardless. Go ahead.
Yeah, she was waiting for me to do something like.
Yeah, yeah. And that's what, you know, again, I'll just use an example of my playstyle. That's what I'll do. I'll roam down, and I'll sit here in this bush, and I will wait for, if it was a LeBlanc in this case, if I was ganking for you, I would wait for LeBlanc to use her dash. Ideally, both of her dashes. So I would wait for her to do that, because as soon as she does that, she has 0 mobility, and I can come in and kill her. If I come in before that, then she just gets away. And so, you know, I sit here and wait for her to use a key ability before I go in. If I'm going into a duel that I'm not sure I have a great power advantage on, again, you know, if I'm sitting in a brush and I'm looking at somebody here farming, I'm waiting for them to use an ability on farm. Because as soon as they have 2 abilities and I have 3, or 3 versus 4 with my ult, or, you know, whatever, I have an advantage. And so that's what she's looking for. So you just got to be aware of that. You know, you're not want to give away an advantage like that for free. Okay, so, and honestly, that's the biggest thing that loses it for you. You can't do much about this at this point, because as soon as she does this, that's, you know, you do fine here. You use your shield. That's what you got to do. Your E is on cooldown still. Okay. So yeah, the only thing, the thing that I mean, you might have even been able to get a kill, honestly, if she had gone aggressive, if you had held on to your Q. So if you hold on to your Q, maybe she doesn't go aggressive at all, and in which case, you know, then whatever, we don't have to, you know, this doesn't happen. But if she does choose to go aggressive, then you do the exact same thing. You cast your shield, you just back off, you're backing towards your turret, and then right at this second, right here, you cast your Q from point blank range. Hit her, and then cast your E, and she's dead. You've ignited her, your Q is on her, that does damage, the turret hits her, and then your E bursts while she's stuck in your root, and you get the kill. Because again, that kind of comes back to the thing. You were not looking to make a play, you were not looking to be aggressive, you were trying to be aware of what she wanted to do next and what's going through her mind, and you're anticipating it. So you're anticipating that if she goes aggressive, I'm going to do this, I'm going to back off, I'm going to play safe, and I'm going to wait until my abilities are going to you know, be able to have the most effectiveness. So I'm going to wait until she overextends. I'm going to hold on to stuff until she overextends and I can get a kill, or I need it to really save my life, you know. Because your E did a little bit of damage, but you didn't have your Q that whole time. So if you had hit your Q, if you had your Q to hit right there, and then, you know, your E would have had a little bit more time to charge up, or you could have cast your ult. Yeah, win your Q, you back off and cast your ult, obviously, and that's point blank.
I should have went, I think, right there with the ult. I should have went towards the jungle so I had more leverage on the angle of the ult. But
oh yeah, maybe that's hard. I mean, the long range ult like that is hard. So, but that's there's probably some truth to that. Yeah. So anyway, you didn't die. You cast your shield. You know, you backed off towards your turret. You were casting things as you were running. So you didn't just completely fail there. It was just a strategical thing and a decision-making error right at the beginning of the trade. And so if you can kind of get into your opponent's head a little bit and be careful about doing stuff like that, using important abilities for just farming when there's a possibility of of her going all in and trying to kill you, then that can turn out really differently. Okay, I'm going to speed up a little bit here. Okay, so right now, yeah. Okay, hold on to that for a little bit longer. Try to hold on to that until it's a sure thing, you know? Because as soon as, this is another thing, just a general kind of strategical thing. As soon as you use an ability, I mean, it's kind of obvious, but obviously as soon as you use an ability, you can't use it again for a few seconds. And so, you know, that reduces what you are able to throw out on a moment's notice. And so as soon as you use your Q, in that last example, LeBlanc knows you don't have your Q, and so now she has an advantage. Your threat range goes down. As soon as you use your ult, your threat range, when you have your ult up, your threat range is gigantic. You know, it's all the way like out here, because that's how the range of your ult is. You can affect things from all the way out here with a pretty significant amount of damage. And so she has to be aware of that at all times, that you have that ability, it does a lot of damage, and it has a lot of range. As soon as you use it, your threat range is reduced to, like this.
I know, I definitely got greedy.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and that's, and it's okay. That's, it's not it's an understandable kind of thing, but it's just to be thinking about as soon as you use it, it's gone, and, then your threat range goes down, and so it's down to here, and then you use your Q, then, your threat range, your range is about the same, but the potency of that range is pretty significantly reduced because it's not a lockdown, you just have your E. And so, and then you use your E and you don't have any threat range at all. You just have auto attack, so it's like this, and it's not strong at all. And so, when you have all of your abilities up, you are, it's Schrodinger's ult. It might hit, it might not. We don't know. And so, LeBlanc has to respect it as long as it's up. And same thing with your Q. That's why you'll see good Morgana players in particular is a good example. Like a Morgana player, if if you had a Morgana here and she was going to walk in and gank you or something. If she walks in and the first thing she does is cast her Q, her binding, then if it if it hits, great, and successful gank or whatever. But if it misses, then she might as well just turn around and leave because her threat range is is almost nothing unless she wants to like flash ult on you or something. But if she just walks into lane, then and doesn't cast it and holds on to it until she's really sure it's going to hit, then you have to respect the fact that you have to respect her Q the entire time that you're trying to run away from her. If she uses it and misses it, you can just run right to your turret. But if she walks in and doesn't use it, then you got to like do serpentine and you got to be dodging, even when she doesn't cast it, doesn't cast it, but you're having to dodge and act like she's casting it the entire time, because because she's holding on to it until she is ready to go. And your light binding is really similar in that way, that if you hold on to it until it's until you're sure, then they have to respect it the entire time it's up. And so in that case with your ult, hold on to your ult until you land a Q. Because it's a sure thing. You can't miss unless you just really, a major mechanical error or something. But it's really hard to miss your ult when you land your Q. And so just resist the temptation to use it in a situation like this until it's a sure shot. Because you can get a kill on her with your ult like that if it's a sure shot. So all that aside, you do enough damage to her to force her out of lane, and now she's having to leave when all the CS is up, so that's actually a really big victory. Because she has a kill lead on you, and she has a CS lead on you. And so if she had been able to stick around and get all that, it would have been a gigantic CS lead.
Yeah, what is it? The symbol of HZ or whatever, is that you?
Yes. Where are you looking?
Yeah, I can't. I was trying to look at the bottom lane right now, I can't.
Oh, what?
It's in the way of the map. I mean,
Oh, the Skype thing? Oh, dang. Oh,
that's-
I can't do anything about that, unfortunately, unless there's like a little X next to it or something. Or if you mouse over it, if there's a little X next to it.
I can't look at, because like right there, maybe I couldn't even see if I could have went bot lane, even though maybe
Okay.
I
Sure.
knew then during the game, but I'm talking about right now.
Sure. Well, in general with Lux, you have pretty good wave clear, but if you go bot right now, you don't have any mana. So
Okay.
like a few seconds ago when you were looking at roaming, oh, did I go back too far? No. So you can be, you want to be pinging right now that the lane is missing, because they both walked out, and and I think you saw Kha'Zix too. So I'm hoping this is you pinging danger. Because you know that they're coming in, and so yeah, you can be. This is fine. You can posture this way, but you got to be kind of thinking through, like what happens if what happens if you do go down there? What happens if you do catch them? You don't have vision on them right now. This is where your ward is, and so I guess you have vision on Kha'Zix, so you don't know where LeBlanc is for sure. And so if you were to run into LeBlanc, so if she's sitting here in this bush, like best case scenario, what happens? Best case scenario, you both get out wounded, but she's probably, especially if she gets the jump on you, there's a good chance that she wins that trade pretty easily if she's smart. And so you can posture, you can come down here, and or even better, you can kind of work down this way, so it's less likely that you run into her on the way down. But as soon as you see that these guys are fine, yeah, then just back off.
Well, see.
Oh yeah, so you probably are looking bot lane in that case.
Yeah, I do that a lot, actually.
Yeah.
I'll be on my team's map looking at them, and
Yeah, yeah. So that's the kind of thing where if the space bar will snap the camera back to you, and if you hold it down, it's like a locked camera, so you can kind of just pseudo locked camera that way. But if you just tap it, it snaps the camera back to your character. So if you want to glance down a bot lane, you click on the mini map and glance down a bot lane, and then hit space bar, it'll snap it back immediately to you. If you want to get
I know that, but the thing is I don't know. I was just too focused on bot lane. I don't know.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. But that's the kind of thing, that's the kind of thing, that's the kind of awareness you want to have. When you are walking down river, you got to be thinking, you don't know where LeBlanc is, and so you really need to assume that she's in every, she's behind every corner until you see her and know that she's not. Because a smart LeBlanc will just do that. She'll like walk down here and like she has no intention of actually going bot lane. She just wants to look like she was going bot lane, and she'll walk into this bush and just wait for you to follow. And so that's.
So she saw me. Well, even though I wasn't even there to look at it, did she see me before I saw her. Well, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, she wasn't paying as much of attention as she could too, because she was walking up to this bush and you were walking up to this bush, and so neither of you could see each other until you both got into the brush. And so she was, she was maybe paying a little bit more attention to her position, but she was kind of caught off guard too. She didn't expect to see you, but she recovered faster than you did because you were looking down here. I'm assuming is what happened, because I obviously can't see what she was looking at, but that's what it looked like. Because yeah, I'll just pull it back. Yeah, so she walked in the brush, and then you walked in the brush, and she saw you and did her combo on you, and then you kind of panicked. So anyway, you just got to assume, it's the old kind of joke riot term for that is just dude potential. What's the dude potential of this brush? Well, you can see Cho'Gath, or you can see Pantheon, you could see Kha'Zix, you could see Teemo. So at worst, it's dude potential of 2. There could be 2 dudes in that bush, and so you got to respect that bush accordingly. You can throw your ward in there, you can throw an ability in there, you can just be hugging this wall the entire time, if you're going to roam. But until you actually see LeBlanc back on the map, you got to respect the fact that she might be waiting to jump on you, and because of how LeBlanc works, that can be, you can be dead before you have a chance to react. Okay. I'll speed up a little bit here. Okay, so right now we've reached mid-game, or we're approaching mid-game, and no turrets have really gone down, so it's kind of a gray area between mid-game and early game still. They're taking the first dragon, which usually does happen between 10 and 12 minutes, so this is about right. But they won that fight with you guys here. They forced you out, they were kind of chased the rest of you guys out, and so that's a free dragon for them. So that's another thing too. If dragon's ever up, that's another, you just got to be extra careful, because if you lose a fight on this side of the map when dragon is up, that gives them free, not only do you lose the fight, but that gives them a free dragon. So the consequences are even a little greater. But it's a pretty even game so far. Nobody has a gigantic advantage over anybody else. Okay, that's rough.
I think that one was the one I was really pissed because I don't even think I looked at my map at all right there.
Yeah. So yeah, you had full vision of him here. You should have known that was coming. So that's really, again, it's just it's just a map awareness thing, And when you're tired, especially, when I'm tired, my map awareness drops off way down too. So that can definitely affect it. So that's a pretty easy mistake to identify what happened.
I think I even put the word there. I don't remember for sure though. If I did.
Yeah, I don't know for sure. But I know I've done that too. So it's just, just making sure you're keeping half an eye on the map at all times. So, and again, you can kind of look at games like this and just try to see, how things are going overall. So, right now you're kind of starting to approach the mid game, and as you're in lane phase and stuff, you kind of just can be looking at it. So you can look at this lane. So LeBlanc is a kill up and a couple of assists. So that's about it's roughly 2 kills worth of gold that she's up. You're keeping up fine in CS. Your CS is really low. So I just want to make sure that I acknowledge that at about 13 minutes you should have 100 CS pretty consistently. Between 90 and 100 anyway. That's the goal you want to shoot for. You won't be able to hit it every game, but that's the goal. And so that's a big area for potential improvement. Go ahead.
13 minutes?
Yeah, perfect CS is 100 at 10, and that's basically impossible to actually get in a real game. But 100, so in a real game, good CS is 80 at 10 minutes. Okay CS is maybe closer to 70. And it's going to depend a little bit depending on the matchup and what you have to do. And if you're roaming a lot and getting kills, then you can be a little bit lower than that, and that's fine. Because the point of getting CS obviously is to get gold. And so if you have a better way to go get gold, if you're going to roam and go get kills, then that's even better. You don't worry about being down in CS. But
haven't been too good at less hitting in mid and top lane, but AD carry is a lot easier.
Yeah, and that's because AD carries are building AD, and so their auto attacks are gonna. You don't have to have that razor edge. You don't have to wait until the minion is have 10 health. You can hit the minion when he has 50 health, for just as an example. And so it is a little easier as an AD carry. Plus, as an AD carry, you have a support who's sitting there, in theory anyway, helping you, giving you a little bit of breathing room to be able to CS. In a solo lane, you're 1v1, and so that person is always potentially trying to pressure you whenever you go to CS. But one thing you can do is, kind of a good way to practice CSing is just to load up a custom game where it's just you, and then just go to lane and just practice CSing. Use your abilities. First of all, for the first couple of times, try to avoid using abilities unless you need to get the CS. So try to just auto attack. Just wait until you can last hit an auto attack. And if you can get to between 80 and 90 CS at 10 minutes reliably in a custom game, that kind of can reduce CSing to almost muscle memory, kind of, and then that frees your brain up to focus on other stuff. But in bronze in particular, even if you are able to master even just farming, even if you kind of leave some of this other stuff until later on, even just being able to out CS your opponent, because LeBlanc is terrible CS too. She's at 40, even though she's been stronger for most of the lane phase, at least a little bit stronger. And so, if you can have 80 CS at 13 minutes, which isn't awesome, but it's okay. You've doubled LeBlanc's CS, and you're actually ahead in gold, because she has a kill and she has 2 kills worth of gold, but 20 CS is about a kill's worth of gold too, a little bit less than 20 CS. And so if you double her CS, if you have 40 more, then you're even, and probably maybe even a little bit ahead, even though she is the one that has the kill. And so if you can just focus on that, it's a really simple, not simple, but it's a really, I guess it is simple. It's not easy, but it is simple. It's a really simple and kind of small scope thing that you can just really hone in on and practice and focus on. And if you can improve even just that single mechanic of CSing, that will actually go a long way toward carrying you, because CSing is something that not a lot of people in bronze do very well. And so if you are able to do it better than most of the people that you go up against, you will end up coming out of lane with a significant gold advantage, and then then that just makes the rest of the game easier. And you're not the only one. As I look at all these, nobody is CSing well, with the partial exception of Misfortune. And so again, I guess I was kind of making a quick point, that if as you are going through lane phase, especially if you're feeling like you're behind or you're not feeling very effective, you kind of want to look at the scoreboard. Okay, I'll get to this in just a second. You want to look at the scoreboard.
Yeah, this is just me being tired. I should have already roamed top.
Well, roam top, or yes and no. Pushing here is okay. If LeBlanc leaves lane, this is okay, because the turret is low enough now, and it's moving into the point of the game now where you want to start pushing turrets. So this idea is fine. You have the ability to shove the lane pretty quickly and get it. And so if she dares leave lane, then you're going to be able to shove the lane quick enough that she's going to at least lose a wave of CS. And at this point now, the turret is low enough that you're threatening it as well. And so this is okay. You don't even need to really follow her, because you can, if you follow her, then maybe you get a kill, maybe you help Cho'Gath survive or whatever. But if you just stay and shove the lane, then there's actually a really good chance that you force her to come back without even having to go up and do anything, because she's looking at her turret and being like, oh crap, I gotta go back.
Where was Pantheon before he's doing this?
I'll back it off here. Okay, so you see LeBlanc roaming up, and you don't know where she is. Okay, so that's okay. This is just, you got to be aware of Pantheon's ult. You need to know, where when it's up, if you can. Ideally, you want to know when it's up, and if you don't know it's up, then assume it's up. And so in this situation, you saw LeBlanc leave, so you don't know for sure where she is, but you're assuming she's heading top. So you choose to shove the lane, which that's fine.
I know I made a big mistake here.
You're kind of in a tough position now. So as soon as you see that ult come down, your E might be on cooldown, but you can cast your E. You know exactly where Pantheon's going to be, and so he's a pretty easy target to to hit with your Q or your E or both, because you can time it, and so you see the circle appear, and you want to get out of it as quickly as possible. So the easiest way to get out of it is just to run right down this way. Because if you run this way, then then he's doing damage to you the entire time you're running past him. But if you run this way, then he's got to chase you.
I probably would have never known that. That's good to know.
Yeah. So just run out of his circle here, and he's going to appear right in the dead center of it. It's like I can't remember exactly what the, let's see. Yeah, you just need to look up Pantheon's ability. You just look him up on the LoL wiki. And look at his ability timing. Says I can't remember exactly how much time you have before, from the circle appearing to him landing, but it's a specific amount of time, and so you can just time it. You see the circle, and you can kind of count down 1, 2, cast, or that whatever it happens to be, and then you trap him right when he lands, and then then you're able to walk out here. And Kha'Zix is here. You don't know that because you don't have vision of him, and so maybe he comes down and kills you, but he's kind of tunneled on red buff, so he probably doesn't. So you walk out here, and then you can just walk. You can just keep running all the way this way. And they probably don't kill you unless they burn a lot more to do it. If they're going to burn flashes and ults and ignites and everything to kill you, then, I guess so be it. But you make them, but instead of just being able to give them a kill for free, you make them really work for it, So maybe you get out, or at least you make them spend a lot to get you. So...
I'll remember that. That wouldn't just go for Lux, that'd be for anybody.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. Okay, I'm going to speed up till you come back up on the map. So right now you're thinking that, I'm not doing super hot. I'm doing okay. I'm keeping up in CS relative to everybody else. Could be better, but I'm keeping up with who everybody else is doing. LeBlanc has a little bit of an edge, and Kha'Zix is doing pretty well. So those are the threats on their team, is Kha'Zix and LeBlanc. On your team, Misfortune is going nuts. She's way ahead. She's way ahead in CS, she's way ahead in kills. So she's the one that you are going to be looking to carry. So at this point in the game, you're thinking, I'm doing okay, I'm not like feeding or super behind, but I'm not in a position to just delete people and force them to respect my power. I'm not going to be able to carry right now. Misfortune absolutely can. And so your strategy going forward then is, again, you don't need to force plays. You don't need to have crazy outplays and get super fed right now. Your team doesn't need that from you. They just need you to play smart and keep LeBlanc from going too crazy, and then to look, as you start grouping for team fights here pretty quick, or skirmishes, to be doing what you can to make sure that Misfortune is able to live through fights and do her job, because she's in a position to carry right now because of how well she did bot lane. Okay. So again, you just don't even need to be in that position when LeBlanc is at full health and full mana. You just don't even need to be there. There's no good reason to be there. There's no realistic scenario in which you come out ahead. Maybe if she super messes up and you land everything perfectly, then you get the kill. But in 90% of scenarios, you survive. Yeah, yikes. Yeah. And so you just got to give her that much more respect. You don't need to push it all the way to the turret when she's there. You can just push it what you can and then kind of back off and wait for her to push it, or go back off and go ward. Okay, so by now you are level... Okay, you just hit level 9 now. You want to make sure that you are upgrading your yellow trinket as soon as is humanly possible. You will not see a lot of people doing it in bronze. And so it is even more important to do it in bronze, because it's another thing. It's like CSing. If you're the only one CSing well, you're going to have a gigantic advantage. If you're the only one who's warding consistently, you're going to have a gigantic advantage. And so get that thing upgraded at level 9 if at all possible. It is the single most gold efficient and valuable and powerful item in the game if you use it correctly. It is more important than a damage item. It's more important than almost anything else. Nice. Because if you have good wards down, then you have the ability to know where LeBlanc is roaming. You have the ability to know where Pantheon might be. You have the ability to know where Kha'Zix is hiding. You know if you can afford to push more aggressively or if you need to back off now because they're collapsing. You know, vision grants knowledge, and knowledge is power, and power wins games. So the yellow trinket, nice. That was a really nice prediction. Nice skill shot. So yeah, get that upgraded as soon as possible. It's 250 gold, and try to have all 3 of your wards down as consistently as possible. And also try to have a pink down at all times. Get a pink ward, throw it down at a traffic area.
I usually just put a pink usually by dragon.
Yeah, and you want, I mean, somebody wants, you want to do something at dragon to, when you're doing it, so that the other team doesn't get the timer, and so you know that you don't, they don't have vision of you. But pink wards are permanent vision. Until the enemy team finds them and clears them, they're a permanent source of vision. So, like in lane phase, you could put it, you could put a pink ward here or here. I'm gonna pause. I can't pause. I'm gonna slow down. You could put a pink ward here or here, and it's this is hard for them to commit to killing early game, because if Kha'Zix comes up and he's attacking this, it's going to take him more than 5 seconds to kill it because his attack speed is less than 1 per second. And so, if he's going to sit here and do this, then he's putting himself at risk because he doesn't know if Rek'Sai is right here, and you can walk down and do damage to him. Even more so if it's here. But that provides you a lot of vision and a lot of information here. If Kha'Zix is trying to invade, you're going to see him with this ward. If any of that kind of stuff. And so that is a extremely cost-efficient use for a pink early game, because it can provide vision that's not going to expire until it has already been useful. It won't expire until somebody comes and kills it, and if somebody comes up and kills it, it's done its job. You've been able to see them, and maybe you can even collapse on them and get a kill. And then as the game goes on, it depends on how the game is going, where you want to move your wards and put the wards. If you have momentum, you want wards on their side of the river. If they have momentum, you want wards on your side of the river. If Dragon is up, you want wards around Dragon area. If Baron's the next thing that Xandy fought over, you want wards over there. You want to kind of be thinking and looking at the map and thinking of where is the next bit of action likely to take place. Where is the enemy team likely to try to be moving around? What are they likely to be going for next? And then, as accurately as you can to determine that, and then just carpet bomb that area of the map with wards. Okay.
I don't know, one thing that drives me nuts is I watch, more competitive play and more higher rankings, and they're willing to do Baron, like, after getting 2 kills or something.
Yeah.
But most people, they're too paranoid.
Well, and the reason that at the higher level is, after 2 kills that they can do Baron, it's a couple of things. They have more confidence that their team will handle that Baron fight better, that they're not going to panic and target the wrong people or scatter, or half of them stay on killing Baron and half of them fight. And so, more people are going to be on the same page. So there's that. They also are going to be able to probably more accurately determine, just because 2 people are dead doesn't necessarily mean that you can force Baron. Well, it's possible, but...
Same, we have wards around, we're level 14, and, even at 14, people are too scared.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, and it's true. And so, there's... If everybody was on team chat with you or something, then, maybe you could pull, some more consistently, consistent team plays like that. So that's part of that is just solo queue. You gotta... People are not always going to recognize opportunities like that. And so, you gotta kind of just learn to be able to deal with some of that, or you'll lose your mind. But vision is a gigantic part of that. If you can get good vision around Baron, and so not only have you won a team fight, but you can say with a lot of confidence that they're not just sitting there waiting to ambush you once Baron has gotten you guys low or something like that. Then that can help with those sort of plays. But you're not always going to be able to get people on the same page. That's just solo queue. You got to focus on what you can control, which is mostly your play. Nice cook. Yeah, so Misfortune's gigantic. So again, that was really close.
I was so off on those. I usually can hit at least half of them per game.
Yeah, well, it's It's a skill shot. The thing with skill shots like that is there's a couple. I mean, I talked about holding on to it until it's until you're confident that you can hit it, and something like that. That's not so much the case here. And Lux is, especially at this point, it's in the low enough cooldown. You don't have to be super conservative with it. Nice. But what you can do is you can kind of try to wait until, like in that example, like Kha'Zix ended up walking between the turret and the wall here. And I don't know if you had vision of them or if you were just kind of casting it out at that point. So, but you can try to wait until people only have one direction to juke. And so if somebody's hugging a wall, then you know that they can't run this way. They could only juke this way. And so you can cast your ult kind of like right here. So you catch them either direction if they just run straight or if they try to juke. And so you maximize your chances of being able to hit it. And that's true of any skill shot. If you can hold on to it until your target has only one way to run, you can kind of walk up and try to zone them a little bit, and so they have to run. They're trying to get away from you, and so you just hold on to it until they put themselves in a position where it's easier to predict where they're going to go and hit that skill shot. But in that particular situation, that's fine. For Lux ult is low enough cooldown and is long enough range, you're not always going to have vision of your targets, and so you can afford to just cast it out as a Hail Mary in that kind of situation. There's no real problem with that. Oh, nice. Close. Okay, I'm going to speed up again.
Red team's turret has been destroyed.
Game's almost over, I think.
Yeah. You guys are either going to win a big fight here or they're going to surrender. There's only a couple minutes left. I'm guessing surrender.
I couldn't believe it, actually.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, you look at it. I mean, that's the thing with especially low-level solo queue games like this. People get on tilt so easily. Yeah, they have no business surrendering here if that's what they're going to do. This is a very winnable game for them. It's very even. You guys are ahead, but not by so much that it's a it's a done deal. So this is kind of a silly surrender for them if that's what ends up happening. But
They just shut down Fortune too, which is pretty big.
yeah. Oh my gosh, is he? Oh yeah, he went support. That's right. He's so weak.
Fresh?
No, Renekton.
Oh, really? What?
Yeah,
Oh.
he's been support Renekton, and so that's the other thing too is they have kind of a trolley bot lane, so that's probably also goes into their unwilling or they're probably on tilt significantly. None of them are doing so well that it's that they're all rallying around them. They're doing okay, and they have a troll bot lane or what they're perceiving as a troll bot lane because it's Teemo Renekton, and that bot lane is doing terribly. And so they're probably all freaking out at their bot lane right now, and yelling at each other, and that kind of thing can lead to a foolish surrender. But honestly, if this game even just keeps going like it is right now, the fact that you have an actual AD carry who is doing well and they have Teemo means that they're really not going to be able. They probably have very little chance of winning this game if each side played perfectly. So this is probably the best thing for you to do as far as what to take out of this lesson or whatever. Why would they? Oh, you guys just murdered them. Okay, yeah. So that's fairly. So they just lost a big fight. They have a troll bot lane, so surrender. So probably the most valuable things for you to take out of this for now is to focus pretty exclusively on the lane phase stuff. Focus on your CS. Focus on identifying matchup power spikes, and and thinking in lane phase. You want to try to be thinking maybe about 3 seconds ahead, and in that you are trying to anticipate what your opponent is going to do next or what they would want to do next. And one thing you can do to kind of practice that is just to look at some replays. They don't even or streams or anything. You can kind of turn the sound off on a streamer, and just kind of try to watch a matchup and just see if you can kind of think ahead about what's he going to do next, what's his opponent going to do next. or you practice it watching your own replays or whatever the most effective thing to do is. But if you can kind of get into your opponent's head a little bit, and like that situation there, LeBlanc hit 6, she has an added advantage, 90% chance she's going to go aggressive on me now, so I need to make sure I hang on to my abilities and I position accordingly, is the kind of thing. That's the kind of thing you want to be thinking a little bit ahead on. And so the CS mechanics, work on that. If you can get that number up, that will get you far. Warding. So I talked a little bit about the ward timing early on, and make sure you're upgrading that yellow trinket and using those wards consistently as well for that same thing. Get them down on your flanks, get them down in contested areas of the map. That will get you very far in bronze as well. And then just some of the other stuff, just trying to think ahead on a microscope in lane phase, and then like when Pantheon came in, that kind of thing. You know where he's going to land, so you can plan accordingly. You can anticipate what LeBlanc is going to do, so you can plan accordingly. And that kind of principle will expand onto more advanced concepts, like setting up a slow push in a lane. You set up a slow push in top lane by getting a minion advantage. You kill 3 minions in their wave and leave the rest of them alive. And that sets up a slow push, so by the time the wave pushes all the way down to here, it's like 6 waves strong, and it's threatening this turret. And so you can do that here, and you know that in about 2 minutes there's going to be a gigantic wave right here, and one of their teammates is going to have to go address it. And that will create a 4v5. It's a split push without having to split push. And so, so you're thinking ahead a little bit. Dragon's coming up in a minute, so I want to set up a split push on top so that there's likely that an enemy is going to be having to go deal with that wave at about the same time we want to go do dragon. So, thinking ahead, trying to manipulate your opponent or anticipate what your opponent is likely to do. In lane phase will help you win trades and all-ins and outsmart your opponent. And then as you kind of get better at the game, and as your awareness and experience is expanding, that'll transition and snowball into the more map-wide decisions and strategies. So anyway, do you have any questions as we kind of wrap up here, or any thoughts?
I don't think so. I wish I would have seen the other game, but yeah, that's...
Yeah, well, yeah, and I would be happy to look at another game with you sometime too. So don't, so if you want to schedule another one for next week or something, that's great. Or you can always, if they send you that replay down the road, if you have one you want me to just take a look at and get back to you on, I can just do a replay analysis. And live's kind of nice because I can answer questions and we can go back and forth. But I can also just look at the replay and just give you my thoughts.
You said it's best for one that's a close game.
Those are, yeah, and I'm happy to look at any game you want me to, or I can, recently I just did one that was just kind of just looking at the lane phase because he had set some questions about how a lane went, and so I just looked at the first 15 minutes of the game. So I'm happy to do anything. The games that tend to have the most learning opportunities are the close ones, because if you get 20 kills ahead in the first 15 minutes of the game, then the second half of the game is pretty straightforward. Then you can make a lot of mistakes and never even realize it because the enemy team is not in a position to punish you for them, and vice versa. You can be playing really well in the second half of the game, but it doesn't matter if the other team is snowballed to the point where they're just going to win. So that's why close games tend to have the most learning opportunities and we have the most stuff to talk about. But again, I'm happy to look at whatever you like. So
yeah. I try to do it, but not always. I always watch their abilities to make sure, and then go.
Yeah, that's a big one. Look at their abilities. Try to play around abilities. Be CSing. Try to anticipate aggression patterns and power spikes. So,
The
cool.
champions
Well,
I don't know as well. It's harder.
yeah. Well, as you're going into game, you can look them up on the law wiki. That's a good strategy to do. Rather than doing something else during loading phase, you can just bring up a Chrome tab or whatever and just look up the champion. And kind of be familiar with their cooldowns, just to have a basic idea of what that champion does. And some of that too is just experience. That's if you're newer at the game, there's a lot of champions you won't be as familiar with, and that's kind of just part of the learning curve. There's not a great way to do anything about that other than just playing the game more.
I just recently opened a new account just to try to, because I used to always keep the screen centered.
Mm-hmm.
And now I don't do that.
Oh, for locked camera? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, good.
And I've been my rule of thumb is usually just play someone I've never played before.
Sure.
play people I'm not good at.
Yeah.
So I can know how they.
Yeah.
So I can know how they work.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, and a good strategy for ranked, and this is kind of, you don't have to do this. A good, just kind of the general wisdom is to pick, you know, eventually, you know, playing as many champions as you can to have at least a basic familiarity with them is a really good thing to do. And so I'm not disagreeing with that at all. In ranked, what can be helpful and will probably help you be able to kind of accelerate and climb a little faster and maybe master a section of the game a little faster is to like pick a lane or pick a role. You know, so you're going to be a top main or you're going to be a mid main or whatever, and then have a secondary one in case you don't get that in champ select, and then like pick 3 champions or something in that role. So you're going to pick you know, Lux, Morgana, and Talon or something for your mid lane champions or whatever it happens to be, and you really hone your focus in on that mid lane and on learning mid and the nuances of playing mid and all the opportunities you have as a mid laner, and those 3 champions in particular. And not that you don't ever play anything else. You want to be able to play top if you have to, or jungle if you have to. But you focus on that, and so then you kind of you avoid the kind of jack of all trades, master of none sort of a scenario. And so anyway, that's, you can do whatever you want. People, some people just really enjoy playing a variety of champions, and they get bored by playing just a few. And so it's kind of up to you what you want to do. There's not really a wrong way to do it. It can just take longer if you're constantly trying new things because you never take the time to actually get really good at one particular thing, if that makes sense.
Yeah, well, it does, but I still, just to this day, don't know if I'm better AD carry, mid, or top.
Yeah, oh yeah, and that's fine. That's totally fine. I don't mean to imply otherwise. Again, that's you try things out until you find something you like.
I like all, but I don't know which one I'm best at.
Yeah, great. No,
I
that's,
hate jungling and support, though.
Yeah, I hate jungling. I like support. I was a support man for a long time.
I definitely like support better than jungling. But.
Cool. Okay, cool. Well, good, man. I think you're on the right track. I think you have a good, you seem like you have a teachable attitude, and you're looking to improve, and you're looking to learn, and you're not pointing fingers, and so those are all the hallmarks of somebody who is destined to climb. So, thanks for giving me the opportunity to take a look at the game and work with you. If you have a chance, back on the law coaching site where you signed up for the lesson and where it was showing that we had a lesson, there's a little link on there where you can give me a review if you like, and any feedback, whether constructive or positive or whatever, that really helps me out. So if you have a second, I'd really appreciate that. But otherwise, thanks for signing up, and look forward to working with you again sometime.